Have you ever found yourself scrolling through old photo albums or even social media and thinking, wasn't life better back then? Or maybe you've caught yourself glancing over at someone else's life and wondering why they seem to be doing better, more active, more social, maybe even more successful at this stage of life. If you have, you're not alone. The truth is, comparison is something we all wrestle with, no matter our age. But after 60, it starts to hit differently, and often a lot harder. You see, in our younger years, comparing ourselves to others could sometimes push us to achieve more, grow, or try new things. But now, it often just makes us feel behind, invisible, or like we've somehow missed out. The truth is, comparison in your 60s and beyond doesn't usually inspire. It drains. It creeps in slowly, often disguised as reflection or even concern, and before we know it, it's stolen something precious. Our joy. Let's be honest, joy is a different kind of treasure after 60. It's not found in trophies, promotions, or climbing ladders anymore. It lives in the quiet mornings, the laughter of grandchildren, the freedom to say no when you want and yes when your heart stirs. It's found in health, peace, and connection. And yet, when we compare our lives to others, especially in a world that constantly shows us filtered highlight reels, we start to feel like we're somehow falling short. So why do we do it? Well, we've been conditioned for decades to measure life by milestones: marriage, kids, career success, financial achievements. When we reach this new season, one where those traditional goals no longer apply, it can be disorienting. Without even realizing it, we reach for something familiar: comparison. We look left and right to see how everyone else is doing. Are they traveling more? Are they healthier? Do they have more family around? Are they aging better? It's exhausting, and worse, it's entirely unfair to ourselves. Because here's the thing, no two people walk the same path, carry the same burdens, or receive the same blessings in the same way. Life isn't a straight line. It's a tapestry, and every thread matters. But when you're looking at someone else's pattern, you miss the beauty of your own. That's why it's so important to talk about contentment. Real contentment, not just the kind you pretend to feel to keep up appearances, but the deep, peaceful kind that fills your chest like a warm breeze and whispers, "This is enough. I am enough." Let's talk about how to get there. It doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't mean you'll never feel envy or comparison again. We're human. Those feelings happen. But we can learn to quiet them, to see them when they arrive, and gently say, "Not today." And that begins with learning to appreciate what's already ours. One of the first and most powerful ways to reclaim your joy is to stop glorifying someone else's journey. Think about this for a second. How often do we look at someone else's life and only see the good parts, the vacations, the smiling family dinners, the photo where they look 5 years younger? But what we're seeing is a moment, a single snapshot, not the full story. Everyone has struggles, everyone has losses, everyone has regrets. You might not see it, but they're there. So instead of admiring the whole picture from afar, bring your focus back home. Look at what you've built, the obstacles you overcame, the people you've loved, and the lessons you've learned, sometimes the hard way. That is your story. That's where your joy begins. Another simple but profound shift happens when you trade comparison for connection. Instead of sitting quietly and feeling lesser, open up a little. Talk to others, not just about the good stuff, but about the hard things too. When we share honestly, we realize we're not alone. That person you thought was doing better might be quietly struggling with loneliness, with health issues, or with loss. Real conversations create real bonds, and those bonds bring something no amount of comparison ever could: comfort, belonging, and joy. Gratitude also plays a quiet but mighty role in all of this. It sounds cliché, doesn't it? Just be grateful, but it's not about ignoring what hurts or pretending everything's perfect. It's about shifting your focus just slightly, not to dismiss your challenges, but to remember your strengths. Maybe your knees ache in the morning, but you can still take a walk. Maybe your children live far away, but they call every weekend. Maybe you've lost some things along the way, but you've also gained wisdom, perspective, and resilience. Even small daily moments of gratitude, a warm cup of tea, a smile from a stranger, a good book, a blooming flower, can change the tone of your entire day. It's like building a collection of little joys that you can reach for whenever comparison tries to sneak in. And let's not forget how much your body, your heart, and you. You know, something beautiful starts to happen when we turn inward, not in a way that shuts out the world, but in a way that finally listens to our own voice instead of the noisy ones outside. After decades of rushing, raising families, building careers, managing expectations, we finally get a chance to ask ourselves a question we rarely paused long enough to ask before: what truly makes me feel content? And this is where many people get stuck, because for years, contentment was always attached to something outside of ourselves. A goal achieved, a child raised, a number in a bank account, a certain weight on the scale. But after 60, life shifts, and so must our definition of fulfillment. One of the most liberating decisions you can make in this chapter of life is to redefine what success and happiness mean for you, not for anyone else. Maybe for someone, contentment is found in a lively social life and weekly dinner parties. For someone else, it's a quiet morning garden, feeding the birds and sipping coffee while the world slowly wakes up. Neither is better. Both are beautiful, because they're true to the person living them. But here's the trick. When we compare ourselves to others, we often borrow their definition of joy and try to make it fit into our life. And when it doesn't feel right, because it isn't ours, we think something's wrong with us. The reality? There's absolutely nothing wrong with you. You've just been trying to walk in shoes that weren't made for your path. The third gentle but powerful shift that brings contentment is embracing the pace you're in. We live in a world that praises speed and productivity, but what if your value isn't measured by how much you do, but by how fully you live each moment? The truth is, the pace of peace often looks like slowness to the world. But after 60, slowness isn't laziness. It's wisdom. It's being intentional. It's choosing presence over pressure. You don't have to rush anymore. You've earned the right to breathe, to enjoy, to linger in a conversation without checking a clock. And if someone else is still sprinting ahead, let them. Your life isn't a race, it's a walk. A meaningful, deliberate, soul-filled walk. And when you accept your own pace, comparison begins to fall away, because you no longer feel like you're running late to someone else's destination. This is also a time to guard your mind gently, because the mind, it can be a garden or a storm depending on what we feed it. And so often comparison grows because we're feeding ourselves with the wrong messages. You know how it goes. The shows we watch, the magazines we read, the stories we hear, they all paint a picture of what aging well is supposed to look like. Smooth skin, endless energy, a perfect retirement filled with beach vacations and grand celebrations. But real life, it's more textured than that. Aging well doesn't mean never changing. It means changing with grace. It means loving your body as it softens. It means letting go of the pressure to be everything to everyone and learning how to simply be with yourself. It's not about how you look in the mirror, but how you feel when you close your eyes at night. Are you at peace with who you are? Are you being kind to yourself? Because comparison doesn't just happen with others. Sometimes we compare ourselves to who we used to be, and that can be just as harmful. We look at old pictures and think, I was thinner then. I had more energy. I used to be more outgoing, more productive, more everything. But who says your past self is the standard? You are still evolving. You are still growing. And what you have now, wisdom, patience, perspective, emotional depth, is not less than what you had before. It's more. So how do we nurture that growth and protect our joy from the grip of comparison? Sometimes it's as simple as creating daily rituals that bring us back to center. A quiet moment each morning to check in with your heart. A walk around the block where you notice the changing seasons. A favorite song played just to lift your spirit. These little rituals might seem small, but they add up. They remind you of who you are, what you value, and what really matters. And that leads to something else we don't talk about enough. The gift of saying no. After 60, you have permission to let go of what doesn't serve you anymore, including the pressure to live up to someone else's standards. You don't have to go to every event, respond to every opinion, or explain every decision. You've earned the right to protect your peace. Because joy doesn't come from doing more. It comes from being more of who you truly are. That version of you that is soft when needed, strong when it counts, and unafraid to choose what feels right over what looks impressive. You know what else helps? Giving yourself credit. Real, honest, heartfelt credit. Because you've made it through so much. Life didn't always go according to plan, but here you might not notice it right away, but when you start living with intention, when you stop comparing and start appreciating, something begins to shift inside. It's like the tension in your shoulders eases, your breath flows more freely, and even the simplest parts of your day feel a little more golden. That's not coincidence. That's what happens when joy isn't being drained by constant measuring, but allowed to rise and take its place in your heart. There's one more gentle truth to carry with you, and it might just be the most important. The power of acceptance. Not resignation, not giving up, but true, open-hearted acceptance of your story, your body, your timeline, your journey. When we were younger, life often felt like a checklist. Do this by 30, accomplish that by 40, be settled by 50. And if we didn't meet those invisible deadlines, we quietly carried around the weight of disappointment, sometimes without even knowing it. But now is your chance to let all of that go. You don't need to prove anything anymore. You don't need to chase what wasn't meant for you. You can just be here, fully, richly, completely, in the life you have. This doesn't mean you stop growing or dreaming or desiring new experiences. It simply means you learn to balance that growth with grace. You allow yourself to dream not because you're lacking, but because you want to, from a place of fullness, not emptiness. And when you no longer compare your life to others, your dreams start to feel lighter and more joyful too. There's also incredible peace in realizing that you don't need to compete, not with others, not with your younger self, not with anyone's expectations. You've already earned your place in this world. You've loved, lost, laughed, cried, stumbled, and stood back up, probably more times than most people know. You don't need to justify your joy. You just need to allow it. And sometimes, joy is quiet. It's not a celebration or an event or something you can post about. Sometimes it's a deep breath before bed, knowing you did your best. Sometimes it's the soft smile you give yourself in the mirror, wrinkles and all. Sometimes it's choosing peace over pleasing. That kind of joy is powerful because it's yours alone. If you're wondering where to begin, start small. Look around your life. What brings a gentle smile to your face? Is it your morning walk, the soft hum of your favorite music, a grandchild's laughter, the feeling of warm socks on a cold day? It sounds so simple, maybe too simple, but these are the moments comparison tries to rob from you. When you focus on someone else's life, you miss your own. And your life, right now, in this exact moment, deserves your attention. Speak kindly to yourself too. How often do we give compassion to others but deny it to ourselves? The way you talk to yourself matters. If you wouldn't say it to a dear friend, don't say it to yourself. Replace self-criticism with self-curiosity. Instead of, why can't I be more like her? Ask, what does my soul need today? Instead of, I wish I looked like I did back then, say, I honor the body that's carried me through all these years. Language shapes how we feel, and how we feel shapes our joy. It also helps to limit the inputs that stir up comparison in the first place. If social media leaves you feeling less than, take a break. If certain conversations or environments always leave you questioning your worth, gently pull back. You're not being rude, you're protecting your peace. And that's a wise, loving thing to do. And while we're talking about protection, remember to protect your joy with purpose. Make room for things that feed it. Read more stories that inspire you. Call people who light you up. Spend time in nature. Say no without guilt. Say yes without fear. Give yourself permission to not have all the answers. Just let yourself be messy, magnificent, human, and whole, even when life feels unfinished. The older we get, the more we realize that joy isn't something we chase. It's something we choose, again and again, day by day. It's not found in comparison. It's not found in someone else's highlight reel. It's found in the quiet courage to love your own life just as it is. Not perfect, but deeply meaningful. So here we are. You've made it through heartache, change, aging, uncertainty, and you're still here. You still have time to feel alive, to laugh deeply, to forgive, to let go, to heal, to love. That alone is worth celebrating, and maybe that's the most beautiful thing about growing older. We finally have the chance to come home to ourselves, to find joy not in who we could be or should be, but in who we are. Right now, in this season, in this skin, with this heart that still beats with hope. If anything from today's video touched something in you, I'd love to hear about it. Share your thoughts, your stories, your reflections in the comments. You might be surprised how many people